Hi guys, and welcome to Trucking Along with Kiersey. That's me, your positive voice in trucking. And I talked about winter driving the other day in another video, so I wanted to go on about that because I did have a really interesting first winter. I upgraded and got my own truck on Valentine's Day, so I still had a few months of wintertime driving as a brand new driver. If you've never been out west, winter in Colorado can last till Memorial Day. Like, no lie, you'll chain at the top of the mountain like Memorial Day in May, the end of May. Seriously, happened like the last 2 years. So I don't chain. I'm not going there, and I don't chain. But anyway, that's what I'm going to talk about next, is one of my first winter experiences. So stick around. Hi guys. So today I want to talk about something that happened to me my first winter. It was like the first few weeks that I was driving. I think I was driving 3 weeks at this point. And even though I'm from New Jersey, I really didn't know we had really like high mountains out east. You know, if you're out west, they'll be like, oh, well, your mountains are nothing compared to ours. Yeah, okay, whatever. This isn't a contest. But you know, when you're driving a truck and you see a 7% slope, yes, that's kind of, you're like a missile, an 80,000 pound missile about to kill somebody going down a hill if you can't control it. So yeah, it's still a mountain. So I started off in Kentucky and I was going on I-64. And I had no idea where I was going because I was too new. My trainer that I had through the winter time, she really didn't go over any kind of grading that, you know, she knew where all these different places were. And because she owned her truck, she wouldn't go to places that had serious grades, because not only does it slow you down, which she never wanted to slow down, but it also costs you money and fuel. The heavier you are and the more slopes you're going up and down, the more fuel you're burning. So lease ops and owner ops sometimes avoid a lot of the grades, so, you know, as much as possible at least. So I didn't realize where I was going. I didn't realize what I was heading into. It was bright and sunny when I left, and I wound up I-64 in West Virginia. It was snowing really bad, and as I kept going it got worse and worse and worse, and at one point I did shut down, and what I didn't realize was I was behind the storm, so I kept driving into it, and then it would go forward, and then it would clear up and it would be done, and then I'd take off a little bit more and I'd keep going into it. So I was going so slow, and I wound up being one of the only trucks out on the road, but I had that mentality of I have to keep going, I have to do a good job, I have to prove I can do this. Well, at one point going up this mountain, I couldn't see the signs, the road signs, they were all covered with snow, and there's really not too many places to pull off. It was snowing so bad that even if there were truck stops, I couldn't see them, and I was too new to know where they are. Like right now, I can tell you, well, you know, in Big Springs, Nebraska, there's a truck stop at exit 109, a Flying J. There's a Flying J at 179. You know, exit 205 in Raphine, Virginia, there's a Petro. You can do that now when you have the experience, but back then, I was just looking for marquees and I was looking for signs, and there weren't any. I couldn't see them because it was that much of a white out condition at that point. And I didn't even realize I was going uphill because I was going so slow that my RPMs never really changed. Which is one of the ways that, especially in the stick shift, that you can see, and the manual transmission, that you can see where you are level-wise. So I get to the top of this mountain that I didn't know was a mountain, and I see one light one light around all this foggy snow. It looked like fog. It was coming down so hard and so fast, but it was snow. And I said to my friend on the phone, I was like, I think it's a way station, so I'm gonna get off and park. And when I did, the ground was just perfectly covered with snow where nobody had driven on it yet. So I really wasn't even sure where the asphalt ended. And as I went in, I felt my drive tires go off to the side a little bit, and I could tell I wasn't level anymore. So I was able to get back in to the middle, and I parked with my hazards on underneath this one street lamp. And I was like, I think this is a way station. I'm not sure, but I'm not going any further. And I messaged on the Qualcomm, I messaged dispatch and told them, I'm parking for the night. The snow is really bad. I'll let you know when the sun comes up what I'm gonna do, because I'm like the only truck out here and this is getting scary for me now. I really think I'm at the top of a mountain and I'm not going down it. And I got 10-4, thanks, be safe. Let us know when you get rolling, which, oh, that was so relieving. So a few hours later, the sun was up and dispatch messaged me, and this really ticked me off. When I say that a lot of times you have to like detach from your emotions, sometimes when I'm in a heightened state of anxiety, I read the Qualcomm in the mental state of mind that I'm in, rather than the way the person may have meant it. Like, he's on the other end saying, hey, our customer needs this product, so could you give me an ETA? I just gotta call him or message him and let him know when you're gonna be there. I took it as, when you get into the customer, because they really need this product, and when you gonna move. So here I am getting nasty, because I feel like, hell, I already fought through a couple hours that nasty stuff. They're lucky, you know, I'm not down the side of a mountain. So me being the nasty witch I am, I messaged back and said, well, does the customer want the product in their dock, which will be later this afternoon, or does the customer want this 3 feet down the side of a mountain, because they'll be picking it up for another couple months. And I got out and I looked out the truck doors, and originally I was the only one that had parked there, and when I woke up there had to be like 15 trucks parked there in a little tiny space, because it actually wasn't a way station, it was a brake check area, and they were all just crunched in. And I was like, you know what, I've been driving 3 weeks and I bet every single one of them has been driving longer than me. So until those people leave, I'm not going anywhere. Not happening. So I did post a nasty message back to dispatch, and I felt really guilty about it, and I called the guy up later and I apologized about it, but he didn't mean it the way that I took it. I was just in a heightened state of anxiety and stress, and I think that he even realized that after, you know, well, at least after we talked, he understood better. But you know, that's just what you have to do. And when the other trucks did start up and we all start creeping down the mountain together, as ridiculous as it sounds, I felt safer when there were other people going down too. There was so much carnage. That's the only word for it, carnage, of vehicles that were burnt out because they had collided and they caught on fire, overturned trucks, cars. The only thing that was on that mountain as we were going down it were the rescue crews and the, you know, the accident debris. You know, there was no traffic going the other direction. It was just a few of us trucks heading down the mountain and rescue crews with burnt out debris and crashed up cars and overturned trucks. That was a very sobering moment for me to realize, hey, I trusted my gut and I did the right thing. And that could have been me if I was, you know, if I was unwilling to accept the fact that sometimes to be safe, you need to shut down. It's not always just about, okay, get this load in. It's not always about, you know, push, push, push. Sometimes you need to shut down, and knowing when to shut down is going to make you a better driver. And it's going to build your reputation with dispatch. And I've seen a lot of videos where people say, oh, this dispatcher tried to push me. Bull crap. I don't believe it. If a dispatcher tried to push somebody, then most likely they're a bum and they need to be pushed. Or maybe they're working for a smaller company and, you know, their profits rely on trying to push the trucks that they have. My experience, and I talked about this in another video of the mega carriers, are they evil? You know, my experience is the mega carriers, especially because we have so many trucks and we have such a contracts with places, like if I shut down, it's not going to affect the overall profits of the company. It's not going to affect the contracts. There were a couple times that I remember I shut down coming across Wyoming, and even though the roads weren't closed, I shut down because it was just too much ice and it was night and that kind of thing. And when I finally got to Minnesota with that load, they had changed my appointment, because that's what they do. Okay, maybe I didn't say that earlier, but they'll just change your appointment. And the owner of Prime has told us in safety meetings, every single week they have safety meetings, and he's told us flat out, I would rather change an appointment and tick off a customer, you know, even if they really need the product, than have to deal with overturned trucks and dead drivers and drivers killing other, you know, people in the public and killing a family of 4 in a Toyota. That's just not what he wants. So I heard that from the owner of the company. I don't need to hear it from the safety department and from dispatch and everybody else. I heard that from the owner of the company directly. So, you know, you have to do it safe. You just have to do it safe. And sometimes being safe is just shutting down. I know where I was going. When I got to Minnesota, I felt bad to reach the customer a day later than I was originally supposed to get there. And so, you know, I got there and I told the guy, I was like, look, the weather was really bad. And he says, sweetie, there were 4 of you trucks from all different companies that were supposed to be here today. He said, they were supposed to be here yesterday. He says, you know what, it's noon and you're the first one that has arrived. He's like, I have one driver that canceled the load. They're not even coming. I was like, what? He said, yep. He said he couldn't get across Wyoming, so he was turning around and taking the product back to the shipper. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. He said, no. He says, and since you did such a great job, I'm gonna call up your dispatcher, I'm gonna call up Prime and tell them that I'm so happy that you were able to get here. So not only did I hear from the owner of my company that, you know, shutting down is necessary at times and we're not going to suffer any kind of retribution for it or reprisals in any way, but I also heard from a receiver that even though I shut down, I still got there. Even though I shut down, he'd rather have me shut down and be a day late than for me to not show up at all. Basically, it comes down to being safe, and you're gonna have to change your attitude and change your thinking as far as this shutting down. It's gonna take a lot for you to get over that, as far as, like, you know, is it bad? It's not always bad. It can become a bad thing if you're shutting down when you see one little snowflake in the sky. Ooh, it's flurrying, I gotta shut down. I mean, I knew somebody that just turned into a lazy bum, and as soon as she saw a freeze warning that was basically for the crops, like a crop frost warning, she would shut down and say, well, that means the roads are frozen. No, it doesn't necessarily mean the roads are frozen. You know, we're driving on the roads, and they treat the roads with different chemicals depending on the state and the salts and all that. So no, it doesn't mean that. Just because there's a weather alert doesn't mean that you shut down. Now, if it's raining and drizzling, can it be really slick? Sure. You know, if it's pouring down rain to the point that you can't see the windshield, through the windshield, of course, shut down. Hello. But I know people that make it a habitual habit of, oh, well, it's not safe for me to drive because I'm too tired. Oh, it's not safe for me to drive because it's raining now. Oh, it's not safe for me to drive because there's a little bit of wind. Well, then maybe you shouldn't be in trucking, because you're going to have wind, and you're going to have rain, and you're going to have snow, and you're going to have sleet. And part of becoming a real truck driver is knowing the difference between what's safe and what isn't. And yeah, even driving in the rain can, you know, a little bit of rain can be a little annoying sometimes. But if you have to, then just go stop and, you know, stop for your 30-minute break, or even stop for an hour somewhere and let it pass. Because usually things like that, they pass after a few miles, or 10 miles, or 20 miles, or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're out of it. But if you make such a habit of telling them, and I'm talking 4, 5, 6 times a week, and I've seen drivers do this, what you're telling them is, I'm not a safe driver. I don't feel safe enough to do this job, and you will get fired. I know 3 people that got fired because they were just lazy. They wanted to live on the truck, drive the bare minimum, have no expenses, no bills, because they're living on the truck, and they didn't actually really want to work. There's a difference between, you know, working hard and then taking time off, like what I'm doing now, and relaxing from it, and just on a daily basis complain about every single load and complain about the road conditions every single day. Because when you do that and you overuse the safety issue, then you're putting yourself in a situation where you will be fired. Dispatch knows the difference between, you know, a really bad winter where people are shutting down and a liar. They know if you're lying. And I was in Bath, New York, and there was one time it was really icy, and I was pretty new still, and I messaged my fleet manager and said, hey, I'm shutting down. I know it's only 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's already icy out here, and I'm shutting down. So if you want another driver to come and pick up the load from me, let me know. And his reply to me was, half the fleet in the Northeast is shut down right now, and if you're not willing to take it, nobody else is going to be willing either. If you can't do it safely, nobody else is going to be able to do it either. So just stay parked and let me know when you think it's safe. Yep, that's the response. So don't be nervous about shutting down. And thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And I hope I'm gonna put some playlists up so you guys can keep watching. I want everybody to try to learn as much as possible, and I want the new guys to get some support from the experienced drivers that might comment down below. And I hope to see you out here trucking along. Bye.